Hello, I'm Jeff Bast from Bast Amron.
I'm Brett Amron of Bast Amron, and this is the Practice Podcast.
Today we're going to talk about managing your law firm or small business in what has now become a much more extended crisis. When we first set out and on quarantine and stay-at-home orders, we all thought this was a 6, 8, 12, 10, 12-week program. In fact, a few weeks ago, Brett, you and I recorded a podcast about how we were reopening, and now we've scaled that back. And now that this is a longer term, and we now know this is a much longer term crisis, so the question is, how do we adapt our management style to deal with this on a longer term basis?
Yeah, so, I know for many out there, and I'm sure, Jeff, you've had some conversations with other lawyers that are, either managing a department or run their own firm like we do, that are struggling, with management in this virtual world, and struggling from the perspective that, we're used to. I know you and I both have this very similar style, which is, walking down the hall, interacting with people, popping in, talking to them, and not just about work, but just generally in life. And it's very easy to see if somebody is struggling or someone maybe is having a hard day because of something that's going on outside of the office. You could see that when you're interacting with them in face to face. But it's very hard to do that. And it's very easy to get sucked into just working and being in your home or being wherever you are away from everybody, and forgetting that there are, people out there that may be working on a different project than you and that you don't interact with. So, we've tried to, I know, come up with some tools and spending a lot of time, as many people are, on these video calls, whether it be a particular project we're working on with our team, whether it be, again, internal or for client. Sometimes it's just something simple as a text to an employee asking them how they're doing, or FaceTiming them, or just a phone call, a good old fashioned phone call, not just a video call. But it creates more work and more time for us. But I think it's necessary for us to do that.
Yeah, it's definitely more difficult. Like you said, it's a lot easier when you're walking down the hall and you just see people. I'm always, I'm very much a visual person, and I like to say tactile. I'm not touching anyone. I'm just saying I like to be face to face.
Right.
But I always said, I don't think, we even had this conversation in the context of lawyers in the past asking us if we would open an Orlando office or could they work remotely, and we were always skeptical about the ability to work remotely for that reason, because we like to see people. And now we've learned that we can do this, at least for short periods of time. And now it's a lot more difficult now that it's a longer period of time. But it's harder to see when your people are dealing with, like you said, they're obviously stressed. You can tell when they're stressed about a case. When you know that there's a big deadline coming up or something like that, that's a little easier. But I think a lot of us forget that they have either kids issues or maybe the spousal issues or the spouse's job. I think a lot of us as lawyers take for granted how easily we transition to working remotely. And we think of it as easy. I mean easy relative to other professions. There's a lot of other jobs out there that are not easily done this way.
Right. Yeah. And, from our interaction with our folks, I've definitely seen, ups and downs, right? I mean, when we first went into this, everyone thought, I think, as you alluded to, that this was, it's going to be something quick, right? We're going to go home, we're going to kind of adapt, we're going to do our thing, and then it's all going to clear up and we're going to be back at the office soon. As reality set in, and so I think everyone was energized right at the beginning, and then reality kind of set in. This is going to be a little bit longer. And now that true reality has set in, at least for where we are, right, in our offices and our people are, it's going on much longer than anyone anticipated. Now that there's the issue with starting school in person or online, and the idea that this is going to stretch into the fall and likely winter, and who knows, how long it's going to be. I think reality is set in with people. And so I think there's a lot of stress. There's stress and anxiety on decision about school. There's stress and anxiety on, just, being cooped up and not being able to, kind of get out and do different things and see family. And maybe people have, family members who are ill and, and things like that. So, from our perspective, I think what we found that's been helpful is just reaching out and communicating with people and giving them a platform to, tell us, what's going on, and us trying to do things to help them stay motivated, stay productive, helping them in the event that there's any personal stuff that we can help them with. And then we've tried some other things, right? At the firm, with, firm happy hours. And I know I've seen a bunch of firms or businesses do this too. We're not unique. It's not unique to us. Happy hours and coffees, and, we're trying to keep that connection, and tried some new games this week. And I think, going forward, we're trying, but it's hard. It's hard, trying to maintain that connection and with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it before. There's a few things we do, I think, that work. One is we communicate regularly with our people. So we have our standing huddle on Monday morning, which is by Zoom, and like we added the coffee. We have a Wednesday afternoon cafecito session, and then we have the Friday happy hour, which, kind of people get tired of the Zoom calls. So we changed it up, and we've added, like you said, the social games. What did we do? Two truths and a lie. And now we're getting ready to do one with baby pictures. And, those things are fun, and they're helpful. I think they really are helpful. What I've found also is when I need to deal with someone in the office, really most anyone, I think about, rather than send the email, which is standard practice, can I just call them? Or better yet, can I FaceTime them? Most of the times I'm going to FaceTime someone, because even if it's, in the office or out of the office, it's just, I think seeing another human, face is really important. It's one of those things that we underestimate, the importance of just making eye contact. It's so simple, but I think we underestimate it. The other thing that we've done is, we maintain we do monthly you and I do monthly one-on-one meetings with our billable people, our attorneys and our paralegals. And so during those times, we check in on, really any kind of issues, but one of those is productivity. And I think people need, parameters. It's kind of like kids. Kids need, guidelines. They need to know they have certain, time frames. They have to do homework before they do, start watching TV or whatever it is they're doing. I think adults are no different. And so attorneys, need to know. We always joke about how lawyers would never get anything done if we didn't have deadlines. So I think giving your team members deadlines and frameworks and parameters is really helpful, especially in this weird time that we're living in.
Yeah, well, right. The old saying is, show me a busy lawyer and I'll show you a productive lawyer.
Right.
But right. One of the other things that we went to pretty quickly, I know I've done it, and you're doing it as well. And we tell others in our firm that are running client matters to do the same thing, and they are, which is standing weekly, sometimes twice a week, depending on the case, depending on what's going on, but weekly meetings. They can be 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and we do them by Zoom, to touch base and check in with everybody on a particular matter, because again, you're not able to pop in, walk down the hall and say, hey, question, what's going on with this? So standing meetings have kept everybody on task, keeping everybody moving forward. And, it just allows for that productivity and, like you said, parameters, and keeping everybody focused. And so from the work perspective, we've had to set up more of those sort of interactions than we would normally do. But it's also, keeping touch with people and just asking them, how are you?
Right.
You know, and
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
goes to me, it kind of goes, but I hate this people may sound rehearsed, but it kind of goes back to our core values, our core values, which are on our website, our new website. I'm excited to promote.
Yeah.
We communicate, we commit, we collaborate. So, I mean, I think the importance of, working, letting people know that you're committed to whatever their project is or their case or whatever it is, but we're communicating regularly, but also, what we call, our primary core value is we care, and just letting people know you care. One of the ways you let people know you care is you ask them, how are you doing?
Yeah.
We found out this week that one of a long-standing client tested positive. And so one of the attorneys on our team let me know, because I wasn't, he was being deposed this week. And so I just reached out to see how he was doing. And I think he was grateful for that. But I think letting people know that you care is really important, especially from a management style in this time, because I think we can't just look at billable hours as lawyers, or whether the deadlines are being met. That's just not enough in this climate to let people know. And the other thing you and I have done, I think we've done well, is we told people in the very beginning of this that we're committed to not, making changes. In other words, we were going to do our darndest to not have to let anyone go. And so far we've been successful in doing that. And I think that, those types of things are important, and we shouldn't look past them as managers.
Yeah. And asking someone, how are they doing is super important. In fact, just, as you mentioned, the one-on-ones, I just had them. And, I had, people are so focused on work, right? When they're talking to us or, dealing with us, I said, how are you? And a few of them, the responses were, well, and they started getting into how busy certain cases were. And I said, appreciate that. How are you doing? And making sure they understand. I want to know how they're doing, because, unless somebody is, is right, they're not going to be productive. And so we need to, make sure that they're doing okay. And like you said, they know we really do care about them as human beings. And we know that it's very important to make sure that our people are doing okay, because if they're doing okay, then they're going to be productive, and our clients are going to do okay.
Right. Right.
And that's kind of the focus. It's just harder in this environment. It requires us to just think a little more about how to do that, how to interact, use the technology. Thank God for the technology that we can do these sorts of Zoom calls or FaceTime. That, I think there was an article that we had talked about this, but even 10 years ago, right? If this had happened 10 years ago, we wouldn't have a lot of this technology. And we would just be on the good old fashioned telephone talking to people, which can be effective, but it's certainly not as effective as looking somebody in the eye and kind of seeing people's reactions and emotions and seeing what's on their face, and being able to really know that if they're telling you they're okay, they're okay. And if they're, not okay, when they say they're okay, you can kind of tell and maybe, make sure, and maybe ask a little more questions. So
I think it's, there's a much more, the measure of productivity has just become more complex. For us as lawyers, it's not enough to look at billable hours or, case progress. You got to look at the human factor, and see how our people are doing, because even if they're advancing one case and, people can get past, bill their hours for that day, is that, can they do that long term? And is it going to be the kind of work that, and the kind of, the quality of product that, we've come to know and expect? And it's not, you can't just look at a number anymore.
No, and it can be something as simple as, we have the WhatsApp channel for the whole firm, and, everybody, or chat, sorry, not channel. And, you see the communication among everybody. Good morning, how are you? Everyone's sending some, funny stuff to keep the line of communication open and the connection there, which is critical. And what I've seen pick up too is the interaction among the staff, the employees, the attorneys, the paralegals, among themselves, again, trying to maintain that connection and that they're not otherwise getting, and by being in the office. So challenging, but can absolutely be overcome. Just communicate and understand that, your people are humans, just like you, and they're going to be impacted. So this is going to go on for a while.
So,
I
mean, if you're looking at, Matt, I really do, and I know this sounds corny, but I would encourage people to check out our website, our core values, because it talks about these exactly things: communicating, collaborating, committing, caring, creating, and all these things now more than ever are so important. We've shown our people our commitment, and we show them that we care, and we collaborate on really everything that we do. And this is more important now than ever, but I'd be curious. I know you've had, Brett, some conversations with lawyers at other firms. We would love to hear from folks about, their management style, what's working and what's not working in this, this current climate, because it's a challenging time, and the people who you think are going to adapt really well sometimes don't, and sometimes it's not so obvious. So you really got to keep your finger on the pulse.
Yeah, let us know what you guys are doing, what you're finding, some things that have worked. By no means are we, experts in any way. We're all trying to figure this new reality out together. And so send us messages, let us know what you're doing, and hopefully maybe we can collaborate and figure out some best practices. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Appreciate it.